Hey, how's it going, everybody? It's Timothy here with Mana Rocks, and today we're going to do another booster box opening, a collector's booster box. We have here Commander Legends, perhaps the coolest set of the year, aimed at Commander, also intended to be a draft format, but due to circumstances in the world, we won't be doing a lot of drafting of this set, unfortunately. But I really enjoyed opening the Zendikar Rising booster, collector's booster that we did on the channel, so I figured maybe we make this a thing, maybe we don't, but I figured if I'm going to be opening this, I might as well record it. So that's what we're going to do today. We're going to go ahead and jump into this here in just a second. I want to say, as always, feel free to subscribe to the channel below for more content like this. And if you enjoy this sort of thing, let me know. Kind of incentivizes me to spend my time recording it or just opening it. I love to hear feedback. Also, if you are interested in cubing, we have a separate YouTube channel now called Jank Diver Gaming, which we'll have a link to in the description below. So if you want to come cube on Arena with a community of almost 150 people, feel free to jump in and we'll see you there. But for now, we're going to open some booster packs. All right, now you might recall... last time we did this that the left side of the box... Now, Tim swears I got this wrong, that I got it backwards, but I'm not so sure about that. But anyway, we used to split booster boxes with one another, me and my buddy Tim, when we lived together. And I want to say he always got the left side of the box, and I always got the right side of the box. And we just split the middle, you know, however. But it seemed like every single time Tim got the lucky half of the box with all the mythics, and I got the crap half of the box. So we're going to keep left separate and right separate here and see which one wins out here and has the better pulls. What do we say? Left, right? I think I'm going to go left first. Let's go left, and we'll just start cracking some packs here. So we're going to get a foil double-sided token. We know that for sure. We've got us the angel here, and on the back, foil treasure tokens. Kind of nice. I think perhaps the first time treasure tokens have been foiled. I know there's like a judge promo or a league promo or something that's like a really expensive treasure. Well, let's see. We're going to start off with some commons. We probably don't care too much about these, so we can kind of go through them pretty quickly. Although, there are commons like Opal Palace is a good example that have been foiled for the first time, and I love foils, so being able to take a card that never existed in foil and having a foil version of it is awesome to me. So I'm really hoping to open a lot of stuff like this. You know, Command Tower, Soul Rings, things that are really hard to get in foil or have expensive foil versions, I'm pretty happy to open. We have a Foundry Inspector. New card, Impulsive Pilferer, is pretty nice. You know, limited card, turns into a treasure token and has the new Encore mechanic. We have the Prismatic Piper with that sweet Seb McKinnon art. This has some of the coolest art I've ever seen on a Magic card. The card's not very good. It's basically a safety valve for limited. If you didn't know, when you draft this set, you're allowed to take as many Prismatic Pipers as you want and put them in your deck. It's supposed to be a failsafe. If you didn't get a legendary creature somehow while you're drafting, you can just have the Prismatic Piper be one or two of your commanders, but you could also just make a deck that's all Prismatic Pipers. Look at this art. It's really awesome. So it's a pretty cool card, even though it's not that great. We have an Explosion of Riches. Not going to waste our time reading that one. Lore Seeker's Stone. I believe this is the first foiling of this card. And then we're starting to get into maybe, I don't know if this is a dedicated slot or not, this partner slot or legendary slot. But we have Malcolm. This is part of, you know, it's obviously like Pirate Tribal, but at the same time, there's just an infinite combo with Malcolm. So I expect to see this card occasionally at draft tables. We have a Nara Wolvid Familiar. There's a familiar in each color. This one makes your commander indestructible on your turn. We have a foil borderless Necrotic Hex. Each player sacks 6 creatures. You make 6 2/2 zombie tokens. This is a play on the card Hex, which is a sorcery that destroys 6 target creatures. Really cool card. Necrotic Hex, pretty sweet with that borderless foil art. Next up, we have a borderless counterspell. Kind of cool. This is not foil, but it is borderless. I don't know if these are in the actual set, but I know there's like a list of like commander staples that they put in the set in borderless treatment, but I'm not sure of like actual counterspells in the set. I'm assuming it is. We have an Apex Devastator. Hello. This card is super cool. Now, this is really weird. This says, okay, I actually don't know about this because my roommate opened a copy of this card, but it had reminder text on what Cascade meant. And I thought that was really weird because I remember seeing the spoiler for this card and thinking, wow, that's a really cool text box. It just says Cascade 4 times. But his version had reminder text. So I guess reminder text or flavor text is on some of these versions and some not. Anyway, really cool card. You know, a simple design, but a really sweet design and borderless treatment. Our etched uncommon, or rather our non-mythic etched card, is Numa Jaraga Chieftain. This is a elf tribal card. Not one I'm super excited about. I'm not much into elves, you know. People love their elf ball. But I just love the etched foils. They look awesome. I mean, look at this. I know some people are like, oh, it's not that great, but it looks super sweet to me. And then rounding out our pack, we have an Ishsai. Okay, perhaps one of the worst ones we could open. As far as partner commanders go, this isn't one of the better ones, but it is an upgrade to the Ishsai I already have. Very beautiful etched foil there. As far as the old partners go, we're looking to open like a Thrasios or a Vile Smasher, but Ishsai will do. So left side of the box gave us that Apex Devastator, which is kind of nice, but kind of busted us on the etched foil. So pack 2, we have, for our token, actually a big deal, the foil Monarch token. First off, foil tokens are cool. Keep doing that. I don't really love double-sided tokens, but this doesn't have a typo. If you never noticed, the original Monarch token has a typo on it that they never fixed, and this is a typo-less Monarch token. And then on the back, we've got some more treasure. Kind of cool. Let's get into the pack, though, the stuff we care about. All right, so limited card, Gale Strike with Creepy Birdman. Staunch Throne Guard, actually a pretty cool card. Just an artifact that makes you the Monarch. Some decks probably play this in Commander, but really good in limited. Core Cartographer, White Ramp. Not very good ramp, but White Ramp nonetheless. Sorry, I'm a little off-center here as well. Malfield Twins, fine limited card, and a Scrap Diver Serpent. So I believe 5 commons, right? And then we get to uncommons. Orzhov Advocus. This is a cool card, kind of a Pillow 40 type card. And it's interesting, again, because this is the first foiling of the card. Sorry, I'm going to try to get my shadow off of the card so you can see the card a little bit better there. But Orzhov Advocus, kind of cool. We have a Grafted War Gear, not something we're super excited about. This is just here to make, like, artifacts energies tick in limited, but not a very good one. We have an Alana, or Alina Kessick Trapper. This is kind of like the fixed version of Selvala, Heart of the Wilds, the mono green Selvala. It taps to make red mana equal to the greatest power among creatures that entered the battlefield under your control that turn, and has partner, obviously. So pretty cool card. Obviously more of a limited card given that it's like a 5 mana 4/3, but still pretty sweet. We have Hamza, Guardian of Erashin. This is your uncommon legendary gold card for Selesnya. +1/+1 counter synergies, almost like original Rakdos, but for counter stuff rather than dealing damage. Seems to fit the guild just fine. Foil, not full art. I want to keep saying full art, but it's borderless. Foil borderless Jeska's Will. Really sweet card that I will certainly be playing. There's a will in each color for a certain planeswalker or legendary creature. The red one is Jeska, and it lets you choose one. And if you have a commander, you get to choose both, and that's how all of the wills kind of work. This one gives you red mana for each card in target opponent's hand, and then lets you exile the top 3 cards of your library and play them. So obviously a potentially very powerful card that can make a ton of mana against the right kind of decks. And the art's awesome too. This art really plays really well with the borderless since it actually extends to do something in the borderless area. I don't know if that makes any sense. I'm not like an art critic, but let's move on. We have a borderless non-foil Reliquary Tower. I have so many Reliquary Towers. I almost made a video about how I think Reliquary Tower is just like super overrated in Commander, but I still have a bunch of them, and I always like the original art too. We have a foil, or rather this is non-foil. Non-foil Court of Bounty. This is the green court. Again, a court in each color. They all make you the monarch, and they give you a little effect, but if you're the monarch on your upkeep, you get a stronger version of that effect. This one lets you just free roll creatures or lands into play, which is kind of sweet. Look at that. This is so sweet. It almost looks silver. I don't know if it's coming through on the camera or not, but this is a mono black card. Nadir, it's a black elf that cares about tokens and things like that, but it looks silver holding it in my hand. Granted, the light's not great where I'm at right now, but super sweet. And then we have a Bruce Tarl as our mythic. Oh, we have another card in the back? Okay. Not sure what's going on there. We'll find out here in a second, but we did pick up a Bruce Tarl. Again, not one of my favorites. An old partner. I would like to pick up some of the cards I don't actually own, but I don't mind upgrading to this foil. I do like it a lot. And then what do we have? We have Livio as an additional foil etched card. So this pack actually had 3 foil etched ones. I believe the one before had 2. A fine card, does some blinking shenanigans, probably goes infinite with like too many different things, but all that being said, really sweet with the foil etched treatment here. This one's not a partner though. I guess you can get foil etched versions of all of the legendaries. I'm not sure about that, but we pick up Olivia there as well. I guess I'll pick up the pace a little on the commons and uncommons. I don't know if people care about that sort of stuff as much as I do, and I don't expect them to. We have a zombie token, and on the back we have the Salamander Warrior for a couple cards, actually. There's multiple cards that make Salamander Warriors in this set. And then, flipping over, we have Armory of our Arois, not a very good card. We have an Eyeblight Colors. This is a new card, and still not very good, but probably decent in limited, right? Gives you some self-mill action, gives you some elf synergies and multiple tokens, probably bridges the gap. Anointer of Valor, also not an exciting card, but a new card, so happy to pick up the new cards, especially in foil. Aqueous Form, pet card. If you're playing auras and you want to get your creature in for combat, Aqueous Form does the job just well, just fine. Silverback Shaman, core set, all-star, fine card, nothing excited. Foil Imperious Perfect, a card that I just recently found out was uncommon because it is actually in our Peasant Cube, which you can play with us by joining with the link below. Thought Vessel in foil. This was getting to be a very expensive card, and I'm assuming the fact that it's in this set and there are foil versions of it that are like easily accessible in these packs means that the price of this will drop significantly, but it is nice to be able to get foils of this now. We have a foil Esior Ward Wing Familiar. This is a partner that basically just makes it harder to target your other partner, which is fine. Not something I expect to see very often. We have foil Amareth the Lustrous. I really love this card. So the reason I love this card is not because I think it's amazing. It's actually not even that strong, but oh, look at that foil. Look at that. That's super sweet. Look at the art right there. The like little auroras behind it. Super cool. But anyway, what I was saying is this card feels like it was designed, you know, 5-6 years ago when Commander was really kicking things off. I could see this being like the face card of one of the original Commander decks. It doesn't feel power crept or anything like that, but still feels strong. And I like those sorts of designs, right? Everything nowadays just does so much and has so many abilities. This just has like this simple line of text, no protection, but a really powerful upside, and I can really appreciate that in the card. Oh, all right. Controversial card incoming in foil. Foil opposition agent. You know, I could see this card getting banned in the future. It is an egregious design. A long time ago, I remember sitting down with some friends and saying, how would you design a card that lets you steal your opponent's tutors? Whenever they tutor, you tutor instead, like a Notion Thief. This card is that, an idea that I had a long time ago, but even better because not only do you get to steal their tutor, you just get to steal their cards and play their cards. So it's just card advantage every time your opponent tries to tutor. It is a little bit egregious that it cuts off, like, you know, Evolving Wilds and simple stuff. But if you play a normal game of Magic, you know that everybody is constantly searching their library, and Opposition Agent just stops that. It's one of the best cards in the set for sure, if not the most like blatantly powerful card. And we'll get a little bit of use out of it before we get bored and my friends stop playing with me. So there's an Opposition Agent. I'm sorry it's getting a little dark in here. I hope it's still enjoyable to view these. We've got us a Borderless Kodama's Reach with what I think is the better art, but I know a lot of people like the classic art. Ooh, a Borderless Staff of Domination. This is a card I don't own, so I'm happy to pick it up. Not a card I think I'll play, because you really only play this in decks that can produce tons of mana or want to go infinite, and I'm not a huge fan of those, but Staff of Domination is a cool card. Was running for a lot of money, and hopefully this brings the price down on it. Captain Vargas Wrath in the foil etch treatment here. Pirate Tribal, not something that I'm super excited about. You know, for whoever's out there playing pirate decks, you got hooked up with this set, but I'm not one of those people, so we'll keep Vargas Wrath on the side here. Picking up Tana, another one of the old partners. A lot of the old partners here. Tana the Bloodsower. One of the more interesting ones, I think, out of the old batch, and pairs pretty well with a bunch of different ones. Probably pairs really well with a lot of the new ones as well. This is just kind of an interesting card to pair other things with. So we got us a foil etched Tana there, and then we do have an extra card in this pack. There we go. That's what I want to see. I want to see the new cards in foil etched treatment. Kolfanor, the Last U, a card that has been referenced in Lorwyn cards before. Kolfanor's Urn, for example. Obviously, this is like a potential infinite combo commander, but it is really sweet. This looks, God, I think these cards look awesome. Whatever your opinion is of it, I'm going to express my opinion, and I hope you respect that, but I think these etched foils are fantastic. And if you disagree, you disagree, but if you agree, you probably see in it what I'm seeing in it right now. Really cool card. Not sure if I'll actually play this one or not, but I could see it having a lot of potential there. Okie doke. Moving right along, we've got us another Monarch token with a treasure on the back, perhaps? Yes, treasure on the back. Flip that bad boy over. We've got a Ripscale Predator. It's a dinosaur now. Used to be a lizard. It's a dinosaur. We have a Kinsbale Courier, just basically a simple +1/+1 counter creature with Encore, and I believe the first new Kithkin in quite a while. Natural Reclamation is a very expensive naturalize effect, but has Cascade, which in Limited probably makes it very playable. Runaway Together. Nice. We just saw this in Eldraine not too long ago. And then an additional common, Valka Invoker. Nothing super exciting here, just a mana sink for Limited, right? At uncommon, we have Thirst for Knowledge, tried and true card draw, especially in artifact-based decks. Very good there. We have... Ooh... I didn't know... I thought this was only in one of the commander decks, but I guess it's also in the set. Swords to Plowshares. This was... this is not new art. This art was on some sort of promo, maybe a Judge promo or a GP promo of some sort. But I believe this is the first time this art has been used outside of that promo. And we've got a foil version of it here, which is really awesome. Armix, a Filigree Thrasher. This is actually not the etched version of it. It's just a foil normal version of it, which is kind of cool. I do have a King Makar artifact deck, a mono black artifact deck, and I believe when I get them, I'm going to replace King Makar with Armix and the other black partner that lets you sacrifice artifacts to reanimate artifacts, but Armix is a nice pickup here. I will be looking for the etched foil of this, but for now, normal foil will do. We have Araumi of the Dead Tide. I want to say Dread Tide, but it's Dead Tide. A black merfolk, which is interesting. We've seen maybe a couple of those before, but not many. And this one lets you give Encore to the creatures in your graveyard for creatures that don't have Encore. So if they didn't print your favorite card with Encore, you can just give it Encore with this card, which is kind of cool. There we go. I love picking up these. These are some of the hot ticket items, especially in foil. These, I don't know what the colloquial name is, but the Battle Bond lands, as we call them. Rejuvenating Springs is the blue-green one, and is basically the best version of just an untapped land you can get when it comes to playing multiplayer Commander. So as many of those as this box wants to give me, I'm happy to pick up. Swiftfoot Boots. Can never have too many Swiftfoot Boots. Very happy with that. Hole Breacher. Okay, this is the other egregious hate card. In addition to the opposition agent, we have a Hole Breacher, which basically replaces your opponent's extra draws with treasure. It's kind of like a Notion Thief, but instead of drawing cards, you get treasure, which in some cases is better. And yeah, this is just a rude card, right? Maybe a little bit too powerful. I thought it was 4 mana. Apparently it's only 3. Jeez. Okay, Hole Breacher's good. So happy to pick that one up. We have an Etched Prismatic Piper. Just very... Oh my god, it's... Look, this card sucks, but the art is just insane. And this colorless border with the etched is just really, really sweet. So this will go in a collection somewhere. I'm not getting rid of it. Akiri is our pickup here. I wonder if there's always 2 slots and I just wasn't paying attention to the first pack or something. But Akiri Line Slinger, the other Boros partner, really cares about artifacts. I have a buddy who plays this card to good effect and then gets his board wiped, and Akiri doesn't do anything. And then final card in the pack is Nostro, Voice of the Crags. Kind of a... this is another card I could have imagined being printed back in like 2012 or something. Because it's not super powerful. It asks you to kind of storm off and, you know, rewards you for casting a ton of spells in the same turn. But, you know, you can play this however you want. It's really cool art, really sweet design of a card. Not incredibly powerful, but does give Jeskai kind of like something else to do if you don't want to be playing Gnar sets and things like that. So we pick up a Nostro here as a additional card. Okay, we have a Jurgen token for your dragon eggs, and on the back we got us a soldier. Oh, this is a little bit of damage on it. I'm not too much worried about that. All right, Haunted Cloak, fine card. This is like a bad Swiftfoot Boots, but, you know, sometimes you care about Trample and Vigilance, so Haunted Cloak's fine. Scrounge and Bandar, Cat Monkey. Does some +1/+1 counter stuff. Nothing special. Eyeblight Massacre is a, you know, massacre for -2/-2. By the way, a reference to the original card Massacre, which gave -2/-2. Court Street Denizen. Limited filler for sure, unless you really need to tap your opponent's creatures down. Viscera in foil is a nice pickup. This card used to be really expensive until it was on the foil sheet for the mystery boosters. So now it's not quite there, but Viscera is always just a good card to have. One of the better sack outlets you can have in Commander, just cheap and free to use. Horizon Scholar, we don't want to open that. This is like, this taking an uncommon slot could have been like, I don't know, a Commander's Sphere or an Arcane Signet or something like that. We don't want to open Horizon Scholars. More Seb McKinnon art, Feast of Secession. This card reads like a rare. It's a 6-mana Languish, but it also makes you the Monarch, which is very powerful. I don't know if that reads like powerful, but potentially wiping most of the board and becoming the Monarch is awesome, and it has sweet art to go along with it. Slork, all ingesting in foil, +1/+1 counter synergy with partner. Very expensive commander, so don't expect people to play it too much, but it does probably pair with like Rayhan and stuff like that very well. Kedis, Emberclaw Familiar. This is the partner that makes your commanders deal combat damage to all players whenever they deal damage to one player, kind of like the Hydra Omnivore thing. And Kedis is pretty sweet. Not very good, but if you really care about just spreading out combat damage, then sure. Court of Ire is interesting. I like this card quite a bit. It's in foil. This one makes you the Monarch, which is super important for red decks. You know, red decks can always take advantage of drawing extra cards, and then if you're the Monarch on your upkeep, you get to deal 7 damage to anything, like to any target, which is kind of crazy. It's worded really weirdly, which I don't quite understand, but I'm sure there's a reason for that. Terramorphic Expanse, not foil, but borderless, kind of cool. Probably replace one of the many Terramorphics in one of my decks. Blade Griff Prototype, very, I guess, interesting, weird design for a card. I'm kind of excited about it because it seems like a good group hug card, which I do have a group hug deck. It's one of my favorites. But basically, whenever this hits a player, that player gets to choose a permanent controlled by any of your opponents and destroys it. So you can kind of team up with people. Hey, I'll hit you for 3 if you want to blow that thing up. And it seems kind of sweet. Maybe not the best, but still good. All right, we have a foil etched Kedis, already edging out that other Kedis we just opened. So we can move right over that. Sidar Kondo. There you go, Alex. We opened Sidar and we opened Tana. We opened your whole commander deck in one sitting. Sidar Kondo is pretty sweet here. One of the more confusing cards. We play against this card constantly in our play group, but we still have to read it every time someone plays it. And then rounding out the pack, we have, a foil etched Amarith. Is this one just as pretty? Yeah, this one's gorgeous. Okay, I'm done reveling. All right, left side of the box. What do you got to round things out with? Okay, we have us a foil rock for Tago. Probably pick up a bunch of those. I'm sure whoever's playing Tago will be happy to have a bunch of rocks, and we got a spirit on the back. And remember, this is the end of the left side of the box, which has been decent. The foil etched mythics haven't been insane, but the rest of the stuff has been pretty decent. Ambush Viper. Yeah, that's an Ambush Viper. Ancestral Blade. Pretty cool card. Sky Raker Giant, just like one of the more like just filler. This is like the definition of filler, right? 4/3 reach for 4. Filigree Familiar, the common Solemn Simulacrum in this set. Just a very sweet, kind of well-rounded card. Probably fine in Limited, not too exciting anywhere else. Trusty Pack Beast, and wasn't even good in Limited, to be honest. Face Fetters is nice. This is a card that, by the way, this enchants lands and planeswalkers. You can stop a planeswalker from using its abilities with Face Fetters. I see a lot of people who don't know that you can do that. Sifter Worm, my boy. It's always fun to see cards from the Peasant Cube in like a powered up set like Commander Legends. Just means that people know this card is good. Sifter Worm's great. Tormod, actual straight up Tormod the Desecrator. Pretty interesting card, not super powerful. I feel like this is probably going to lend itself to infinite combos a lot, which is not really like something I care about, but it's nice when, you know, these characters who have been mentioned in other cards finally get their cards, and this is Tormod's. Zara, Renegade Recruiter, one of the pirates that I think is actually just really good if you're not full-on pirates. This one kind of like, it's like Ilharg, but it Ilhargs your opponent's hand, right? It sneak attacks your opponent's creatures into play. So when you attack with it, you get to choose a creature in your opponent's hand and just put it on the battlefield tapped and attacking, which is kind of crazy. And then you can do some shenanigans like countering the trigger and in the turn to just keep that creature in play, which is kind of insane. Kamal's Will, the Green Will. Not super excited about this one. Turns all your lands into 1/1s, and then all of your creatures kind of beat up another creature. It's probably a fine card, but not something that I'm going to be playing. Also, the art, I think, is just like trees. I don't know if there's something going on with the art that I haven't really like paid attention to, but it just looks like trees to me, so I don't know. That is a borderless non-foil Return to Dust. Good card. Very good card. Slash the Ranks. I hate the name of this card. I kind of hate the art too, but no offense, Svelton Velenov. 5 mana, sorcery, destroy all creatures and planeswalkers except for commanders. Feels a lot like single combat from War of the Storm, or War of the Spark, but not super exciting unless you're just Voltroning up. And also doesn't kill your opponent's commanders, which kind of matters, big deal. We have Rebic, not Rebecca, but Rebic, Architect of Ascension. This has a fun text box to read because it's a little confusing. Artifacts you control have protection from each converted mana cost among artifacts you control. So this is meant mostly to partner with, I guess, the equipment commanders in Limited, but I could see someone making good use out of this in an equipment-based deck or an artifact-based deck that just wants white in it. Ikra Shadiki, the worst of the original partners. Well, we haven't had a lot of luck with these partners on the left side of the box. Maybe the right side will have like a Thrasios or a Vial Smasher. I like Ikra Shadiki. I think it doesn't get the love it deserves, but, you know, people ain't out there playing Ikra Shadiki. And then we finish up this pack with Gormoldrak, Amphinologist. This is the thing that makes 4/3s. Each turn for the opponent who has the least number of creatures. And then you and permanents you control have protection from salamanders, which is kind of a cool thing to just put, right? I don't know how I feel about this card. Maybe a group huggy type card. I don't know what to really expect from it, and I don't expect people to play it very much. But yeah, Gormoldrak, nice little pickup. Again, I'm happy to pick up these etched versions of cards I don't own, even if they're not the most exciting thing. Here we go, right side of the box. Timmy, this one's for you. Let's see if the right side's better. All right, you've probably noticed it's getting a lot darker as we do this. We've got us a copy. I like that they've started printing those out, and a spirit token. And we've got us a Goblin Trailblazer, I assume because it's a pirate, it's in the set. Maelstrom Colossus, nice little just chunky Cascade creature. Nothing super special for Commander, but excellent card in Limited. Cascade is just a very powerful mechanic. Elvish Doomsayer as a mirrored pair with Elvish Visionary. It's supposed to be the opposite of Elvish Visionary, which is kind of cool. Fertilid, good Limited card. Playable. commander card as well. Fun fact about Fertilid, you can target your opponents or partners with this card, so you can ramp other people. Not sure what you're doing to actually want to do that, but you can do it. Trove Tracker, pretty forgettable pirate, I think. It has Encore, so, you know, it can draw you a bunch of cards, but if you care about pirates, you might care about Trove Tracker. Otherwise, you probably don't. 3 Visits, a card that was worth an egregious amount of money in America. As I understand it, 3 Visits was, like, super cheap in, like, England, but very expensive in America. And it's been reprinted to the point with this set that it's not really worth that much. It is in foil, and it's a very good ramp, so this is a nice card to foil, rather a nice card to pick up for, like, mono green ramp decks. Kangi's, I don't know if it's Kangi or Kanji. Kangi's Lieutenant is just a flying tribal kind of encore creature that cares about all your flyers, so nothing super crazy there either. Alharu, Solemn Ritualist, kind of like bridges the gap between +1/+1 counters and token making. So seems like a nice partner for limited. I think probably way too expensive for Commander though. 5 mana for a 3/3, even if it gives you some extra +1/+1 counter, seems a little bit too much. We have Helana. We opened the Helana's partner, the red one, in a different pack, but Helana lets you basically have your big creatures come down and fight stuff, which is nice. I don't even think it's a fight, it's a bite, right? Whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may pay 2. When you do, that creature deals damage equal to its power to target creature. So gives green a way to just repeatedly kind of punch your opponent's creatures, which is kind of nice. War Room. This is a really sweet card, and this is a foil borderless version of it. It's 3 mana and tap it, pay life equal to the number of cards, the number of colors in your commander's color identity to draw a card. So the less colors you're playing, the better this gets. And if somehow you're playing a completely colorless deck, War Room is just 3 mana with no life cost to draw a card. So this is a potential way to give like mono white better card draw. You know, I assume that's the design behind this card. You wouldn't play this in like your 5-color deck, but in your mono white or mono red deck that doesn't have a lot of card draw, you'd probably be pretty happy with a War Room. Kumbaj Witches, again, Seb McKinnon art, always nailing it. Hey, this card, it doesn't matter how dark it is in my room because this card is dark. I want to say this was art that was used on Magic Online, so this is also not new art, but it is really sweet. This is planted here for Pauper. It's not like an excellent card or anything like that, unless you're doing some Death Touch Pinger thing, but it is a really powerful card in Pauper from what I understand, and is probably just here as kind of a way to appease Paupers. I know it's uncommon here, but it's common in its original printing or something like that. We have a Borderless Jessica's Will. We've already opened this one. Don't really want repeats here. We want new cards, but this one's non-foil, so we've already got an upgraded version of that. Abomination of Llanowar. This is, in my opinion, the most boring legendary creature I've ever seen in my life. It's Vigilance, Menace, and Power and Toughness equal to the number of elves you control, plus elves in your graveyard. So it's literally supposed to be an elf ball. Just a giant elf creature that cares about how many elves you have. And that's about it. I guess if you want green black elves and you don't want to play like Nath or something, you could play this, but it doesn't really contribute much to like a strategy. It's just potentially big, which isn't super exciting for me. Maybe the elf ball players like it. Marith. Okay, I'm really excited to open this for a couple reasons. First off, I don't own a Marith, so just getting to pick up a card I don't own is nice. Second off, this is the first, not the first foiling. Was Marith originally foil? I don't believe it was, back when they didn't foil out the commanders. So I don't believe Marith has been foiled before. And also, this is the first time where it has the eroded text where it says X can't be 0 on the ability that goes infinite if it doesn't have that line of text. If you don't know, Marith was I guess emergency eroded when it came out because it could just make infinite tokens by paying 0 to make 0 zeros, which is obviously a mistake, but it doesn't do that, and it has its eroded text. So this is a nice little pickup here. And rounding out our pack, we have Obeka, Brute Chronologist. This is a really interesting card, the Grixis 3/4, that lets the player whose turn it is end the turn if they want to. Or obviously, you can use this to end your own turn, which, if you know the kind of combos that does, it does some pretty ridiculous things, but being able to extend that to other players just makes this a very nice political tool, and I'm pretty happy to pick this one up. So, right side of the box, starting off with a Marith and an Obeka. All right, moving along with the right side of the box. It gets darker every time I open a pack. We have an angel token with a horror on the back. I forget what makes the horror in this set. And we have a Spectral Searchlight. This is probably a nod to the Mana Burn Commander. It's a card I always like, too, as just a political tool. A mana rock that you can use to give other people mana. Not that you would actually do that very often, but hey, it's there if you want it. Sailor of Memes. The Sailor of Memes, if you will. Very good card in Limited. Soul's Fire, another potentially powerful card in Limited. If you're looking to get one of your creatures just gigantic, Soul's Fire can be used as kind of your finisher or just a very potent removal spell. Palace Sentinels in foil, another kind of Pauper-esque staple that just sees a lot of play in that format. I don't know how much play that format sees in general, but Palace Sentinels is definitely played there as just a cheap way to make you the Monarch. At common, Wild Celebrants. Pretty bad card, just a gigantic artifact destruction creature. Coastline Marauders, I actually don't even remember this one. Whenever it attacks, it gets +1/+0 until end of turn for each land defendant player controls, and then it has Encore. It's a 3-mana 0/3 pirate. You know, a pirate plant doesn't really do much else than that. If you care about pirates, then sure. If you care about the token making with Encore, then sure. Otherwise, we're probably not playing this card. Sweet. I love this full art kind of borderless foil Path of Ancestry. This is the type of stuff I want to be opening in the common slots, right? Just things where I can bling out my deck with cards that I couldn't before, right? There were no foil Path of Ancestries, but hey, now we get to foil out at least one of them. Radiant, the second version of Radiant. Tap another untapped creature you control with flying. Radiant gains protection from the color of your choice until end of turn. So 7 mana, 6/4 flyer that can use your other flyers as a way to protect it. A little bit gnarly. This is supposed to be a partner probably with some other flying commander, and it's probably decent in Limited, but not something we're playing in Commander, although that art is pretty sweet. We have Yurlok, a card that people seem to be pretty excited about. This is the Mana Burn Commander, and one of my new favorites because even though I'm not going to play it, it just gives you kind of a whole new archetype, right? You can build a Mana Burn deck now, which maybe you could have done before, but it would have been some convoluted mess. This is actually just like, hey, play Jund Mana Burn, right? I don't know why this card has Vigilance. I know from like a mechanical perspective that it can attack and use its ability, but a Jund card with Vigilance seems a little odd. I think it would have been better if this had like First Strike or something, but yeah, really sweet card. Jesper Elsing doing a lot of the art, if you haven't noticed. He has got a very specific style that kind of stands out. Aurora Phoenix is a Cascade payoff. Whenever you cast a spell with Cascade, you can put this back in your hand from the graveyard, and it itself has Cascade. So if you're playing Maelstrom Wanderer or that new Teamer legendary creature, then Aurora Phoenix is probably in your deck. And if not, I don't know, maybe you care about Aurora Phoenix, maybe you don't. We have a borderless command tower, not foil, just missed out on foiling for that, but can't have them all. Still pretty sweet. Ember Wild Captain, another pirate. This one makes you the Monarch, so it's already pretty good. And then when an opponent attacks you, they take damage equal to the number of cards in their hand, so it punishes people for trying to take the Monarch from you while also making you the Monarch, so pretty decent there. Anara, we saw this earlier, I believe in the first pack. This is an etched Anara. Sweet. Not a particularly powerful card, but not a terrible one either. And then we have Carador, etched Carador. I've actually already opened a Carador in a Stray booster pack, so now we have twice the Caradors, if you will. So this one will be up for grabs. And then rounding out Carador, we have, ooh, I forget this card's name, Elegith Crossroads Augur. This is the one that lets you draw instead of scrying. So if you would scry 3, you draw 3 instead. Perhaps this and Kodama, I think, are the most powerful new partners. I believe that's probably correct. Maybe Clark. I don't know. It's kind of hard to say. There's so many new cards, but I do think this is one of the more powerful ones. Just draws you so many cards, especially for Limited. This card's got to be busted. I don't know. But really sweet with the etch foil there. So we'll be adding that to the collection. All right. Here we have 3 more packs left on the right side. Right side hasn't been like amazing, but it hasn't been terrible either. We have a Thrall token with a soldier on the back. And on the front, we have a Spark Tongue Dragon, just the most filleriest filler card of all time, Life Crafter's Gift, some +1/+1 counter stuff for limited. Marble Diamond. I'm surprised we haven't seen more of these diamonds. I guess there's like a ton of cards, so we haven't seen a lot of repeats of foils or commons or anything like that, but nice to pick these up. Not the first foiling for these cards, but I believe it's the first foiling with the new modern, like, borders and stuff like that. Prosperous Pirates, sure, you know, another filler card. Supernatural Stamina, same, although I think this card is probably underrated. You could probably play this in a deck that really cares about protecting its commander. Shimmermer, if you will. I want to say this card used to be rare and has dropped down to uncommon now, so peasant people, buy it up. I don't know. Shimmermer is a fine card if you care about artifacts, and a pretty forgettable one if you don't. Mask of Memory in foil. This was previously a pretty pricey foil and a very good equipment, you know. It's a little overshadowed by things like Skull Clamp and just, you know, massive card draw. But if you're a deck that cares about equipment and you can reliably get your creature through, Mask of Memory is good card advantage and a little bit of a pet card. The Ghost of Ramirez de Pietro, a nod to an old legend from Legends. I forget, I assume it's just called Ramirez de Pietro, but interesting card. This can be used as kind of a group huggy type thing to give your opponent some cards back from their graveyard, or just a way to, I don't know, recycle discarded cards and stuff like that. It's a little strange. Not sure who you would partner this with, but I'm sure people are doing some interesting stuff. Also has 2 relevant type lines and being a spirit pirate. Tuya Bearclaw. Another pretty boring commander, I have to say. As far as Gruul goes, you know, it attacks, it gives another creature +X/+X until end of turn, where X is the greatest power among other creatures you control. You know, you could just be playing Xenagos, you could be playing... I think there are, like, commons and uncommons that kind of do something similar to this. So the fact that this is, like, your legendary commander in your deck, it's not very exciting. I don't expect to see this one often. We picked up a foil mythic here, Profane Transfusion. This lets you exchange 2 players' life totals. Ah, there we go, the XX horror we were just talking about. You make a horror equal to the difference between those life totals. Exchange the life totals is very powerful. You know, Reverse the Sands is a potentially game-winning card. The art's kind of funky. We've got some, like, new Phyrexia stuff going on here. Who knows what, but it's pretty sweet. Not the best mythic in the set, but not the worst by a pretty wide margin. Mole Drifter, Floppy Fish. Borderless, Mole Drifter. Good card, play it. It's still good in Commander. Wrong Turn, borderless full, no border for, I don't know, whatever. Wrong Turn. Target opponent gains control of target creature. This is a very rude card. You can't steal your opponent's creature with it because it's target opponent gains it, not target player. But you can just, like, get rid of a problem by giving it to someone else. Granted, if a card is a problem on one player's side of the board, it might be a problem on someone else's side of the board too. So there are certain cards that, you know, swapping around the control isn't going to solve the problem. But you could just give somebody another player's commander and just, like, have it sit over there forever, and they just don't get to play with their commander. So I will probably be playing this card in somebody's deck. Dargo, the Shipwrecker, the most recent addition to the pile of cards that go infinite with Ashnod's Altar. Very interesting art, very kind of interesting ability, very wordy, but basically just says, you know, it costs 2 less to cast for everything you sacrificed, and you can also sacrifice stuff while casting it to make it cost 2 less. And it's just a giant trampling creature. 7 mana, but you're never really going to cast this for 7. Goes infinite with Ashnod's Altar. It's a pirate. It does a bunch of interesting stuff, but it's not the most exciting for me, but I will probably play against this card occasionally. Brago. Hello. This is a really sweet one because I actually play Brago in a deck. This might be the first foil-etched kind of legendary reprint that we actually play in a deck, so I'm excited to open the Brago here with the new foil-etched treatment on it. And the foil-etched is foiled throughout the entire card. It's not just like certain spots like some of the foiling process, but Brago's a nice little pickup here. And we have, nice, a foil... I guess this is alternate art. The 2 planeswalkers in the set have normal versions, and then they have these borderless versions. So this is the borderless version of Jeska, which is the damage tripler. You choose a creature, and it deals triple combat damage until end of turn, and then it has some like minus X ability you don't really care about. I love this Planeswalker because it's unique, right? It does something, its passive ability that it enters with loyalty counters equal to the number of times you've cast commanders from the command zone this game. That's just like really interesting design space, right? That you can't do on normal Planeswalkers. Same with the black Planeswalker, Svet, or whatever it's called. You know, they did something really interesting with it. So I don't know who's best to partner with Jessica. Maybe, I don't know, which ones deal combat damage? Tana, like I could see these being really good with Tana. You just deal triple damage and make triple Saprolings, but this is a really cool pickup. I will probably find a place for this and put it in a sleeve here in just a moment. All right, 3 packs left. We have a copy token and a soldier token on the back there. Open that bad boy over. We got us a Bitter Revelation, just a subpar draw spell for limited. Brazen Freebooter, subpar pirate for limited. Moss Diamond, that's above subpar. Now, granted, Moss Diamond's probably the worst diamond because green already does the best job at ramping with individual cards that you don't really need a Moss Diamond in a green deck, whereas the other colors have a slightly harder time ramping. So Moss Diamond's the worst diamond, but that doesn't mean it's bad. Gift of Paradise, perfectly fine if you care about enchantments, good with like Estrid and stuff like that. Seraph of the Dawn, if you care about angels or lifelinkers, sure, good limited card. On to the uncommons, we have Open the Armory, which was starting to become a pretty pricey foil. I'm surprised in a set like this they didn't put in Steel Shaper's Gift, but Open the Armory is just fine. Literally a strictly worse version of Steel Shaper's Gift, but it does the trick. Actually, Steel Shaper's Gift might not fetch auras. I'm not sure about that, but Open the Armory, 2 mana to go get an equipment or aura and put it into your hand. Pretty good. Foiling this one out for cheap is nice. Warden of Evo's Isle. Seen this card a million times at this point. It's just fine. Like, there's nothing excited about it. If you're playing Flyers and Limited, it's probably pretty good. We have Dargo again in the non-etched version. Dargo's perfectly reasonable. Don't really need to talk about it again. Casket. Hey, this is the other partner I was talking about to go with the Filigree Thrasher or whatever it's called. Casket lets you sacrifice 3 other artifacts from or creatures. Or creatures. Lets you sacrifice 3 artifacts or creatures, and then you look at the top 3 cards of your library, you put 2 of them into your hand and the other into your graveyard. So it doesn't straight up reanimate, but it does let you turn like treasure tokens and stuff like that into additional card draw while also putting cards in your graveyard. So Casket and the Thrasher are likely taking the place of King Makar in my black artifact deck. Undergrowth Stadium, picking up another Battle Bond land. Pretty sweet, green-black. I'm seen 2 of these in the box, and I'm pretty happy to pick those 2 up. So Undergrowth Stadium added to, I'm not sure which deck I'm putting it in, but it's definitely going in a deck. Temur Battle Rage. Don't actually see people play this card in Limited, but it's a fine card. Or, I'm sorry, in Commander, but I'm sure there's some deck where Temur Battle Rage is good. Sweet Gum Recluse. Cool design for a card. It's a 6 mana 0/3 Cascade Flash, and then when it enters the battlefield, you put 3+1/+1 counters on any number of creatures that enter the battlefield this turn. So obviously you get to put 3 counters on this, and then whatever you cascade into, if it's a creature, you get to put 3 counters on that. It's kind of the joke. You can also use it as a little bit of a group huggy thing to put counters on your opponent's creatures, but only if they enter the battlefield the turn you play this Recluse. Sayani, Eye of the Storm is your Flyer Matters partner, another one, rather. And I guess this is what you want with Radiant. You scry X for each flying creature that attacks or something along those lines. And it has partner. Doesn't have any really good way of protecting itself, but it has sweet art, Khans of Tarkir, kind of Djinn art, and has a pretty cool effect if you care about flyers. Ooh, Najeela, that's what we're talking about. Najeela was a pretty expensive foil. I'm assuming the prices of all of these kind of etched foils will be super cheap for a while, so this probably isn't the $100 or whatever that foiled Najeelas were previously, but picking this up, I mentioned this to a friend the other day who said that the etch treatment wasn't something that they were like super in love with, but it's one of those things where certain colors or color combinations have like a way different kind of appeal, and I love just kind of the monocolor etch treatment here on the Najeela. Not a lot of them have them because they're mostly gold cards. And then we have Arkelos, the Lagoon Mystic. Another cool commander that kind of inspires a new version of deck. It lets you basically choose whether permanents enter the battlefield tapped or untapped, so it kind of gets around things that enter the battlefield tapped naturally, like Nevinyrral's Disc or dual lands or stuff like that. You can kind of just replace it however you want while also messing around with your opponent's stuff. And yeah, it's, I guess, lore-wise, it's supposed to be like a foil to the blue-white rabbit, you know, the tortoise in the hare. So, you know, a little cheesy, but it inspires a new archetype. I mentioned that with the mana burn guy, is that there's a new deck you can build with this commander that you previously probably couldn't build, and it opens up this kind of new space to design and tinker around, and I think that's awesome. So I'm happy to pick this one up. All right. We have one more pack after this. We got us another Monarch token and another Horror token on the back there. It's gotten quite dark. I probably need more light next time. Angelic Gift, an aura that you can play if you hate yourself. Pilgrim's Eye. I love Pilgrim's Eye. If you care about Thopters, if you care about Flyers, if you care about artifacts, and you just want to make sure you hit your land drops, Pilgrim's Eye will do the trick. Omen Speaker, tried and true card, another card from the Peasant Cube that holds its own. Omen Speaker's been a pretty good card every time it's been printed. Ah, Foil Commander Sphere. Nice to pick this up in the common slot too, right? So you just get to start foiling out Commander Spheres. There was a foil version of Commander Sphere before, but it was a Judge promo, so it was kind of hard to like foil out all of your Commander Spheres or anything like that. Workshop Assistant, pretty bad Gravedigger for artifacts. Revenant win new art. I'm not sure why Revenant got new art, but there you go. It does have really cool art. It's just Revenant's not a very good card. Furnace Celebration, a Aristocrat's kind of sacrifice payoff for limited. You could probably play this in Commander, but sacrifice decks have so many more powerful things they can do without sinking 2 mana into this effect every time you sacrifice something. Breaches is kind of the intended partner for Malcolm, the blue pirate. This one lets you steal cards from the top of your opponent's library whenever pirates hit them, and you can cast them until end of turn. So kind of like the chaotic impulse draw where you get to steal your opponent's cards. Pretty powerful card. It's a little bit too pirate centric to be, you know, universally played, but hey, if you're in that pirate deck, go ham. Breaches is a pretty good card. Rayov, Master Smith. This is the one that gives your equipped creatures and enchanted creatures double strike. You know, if you're playing that sort of deck, you're already taking on a little bit of a risk, but if you're trying to Voltron your way up, giving those creatures double strike isn't that bad. The kind of awkward thing with this card is that a lot of really powerful equipment or auras you would already be playing can give double strike, so this card's kind of intended purpose can just be taken up with one of the cards that's more synergistic with your deck. So I don't know. Rayov's a pretty sweet card. It's nice to see the kind of Kaladesh art thrown in here, but I don't know if it's super exciting or not. Foil Borderless Keeper of the Accord. This is a really exciting card. Maybe a little overhyped, but still very powerful. It's another attempt to give white kind of its own version of ramp. You know, it's got some text about making soldier tokens, and it can actually make a bunch of soldier tokens, which isn't negligible. But the important part here is that on each of your opponent's end steps, if they have more lanes than you get to search for planes and put it on the battlefield. The problem, of course, and will always be the problem, is that all of these attempts to make white ramp a thing is predicated on the fact that you're catching up to an opponent who's in first place. So none of these cards like this ever put you in first place on a board. They just let you catch up to who's already in first place. So I think as long as that's the design philosophy, that white needs to be playing catch up or needs other people to already be ahead in order to do its thing, that, you know, white's never really going to catch up to the other colors. But for now, Keeper of the Cord is very powerful. And, you know, the fact that this can potentially go around a turn cycle and get you 3 lands is very good. So it's a nice little pickup that we'll likely be playing, but still makes me scratch my head at a certain design philosophy. Borderless Victimize, good card. If you care about Reanimator, just very powerful, some pretty grotesque art. We have another War Room with the borderless treatment. Not foil this time, but we've already talked about War Room. We've talked about Aruomi. I don't know this card. The Dead Tide Merfolk before. Picking up an etched foil version in this pack, which is kind of cool. This is a really nice, again, like the blue and black etched foil just looks awesome compared to some of the more generic, like 3-color gold versions. Ludovic. Okay, maybe this is the worst partner. I don't know. One of the biggest flavor fails of all time too. Like you've got this necromancer who's supposed to be like Frankenstein, and I guess that's Geralt. But you know, the idea being that, hey, look, there's this guy who like, you know, brings zombies back to life, and it's really cool. And his effect is just like, hey, people get to draw cards. He doesn't really do anything special. And then we have Lithiel. This is a life gain commander. Beginning of each end step, if you gained life, you get to put that many +1/+1 counters on any number of other target creatures, which is pretty powerful. The card's good. It's not super exciting, but if you care about, like, if you want to be specifically green-white life gain, then maybe Lithiel is, like, your next best option. So there you go. We have one more pack. Let's go and round it out. No Jeweled Lotus, but again, we don't need a Jeweled Lotus to be happy with this. All right. Rounding out the last pack here, we have Monarch token with a soldier on the back. Kind of cool. Again, for the millionth time. Dragon Mantle, not a particularly exciting card. Elvish Visionary to go with our Elvish Doomsayer, tried and true creature. Exquisite Hunt Master. When it dies, you make a 1/1 elf warrior creature token, and then it has Encore, which when those tokens die, you'll make a bunch of elves. So this is just an elf that makes a bunch of elves, very similar to the Eye Blight thing that we saw earlier. Flood of Recollection, probably a more playable card than people give it credit for, but it's not an exciting card, that's for sure. Rupture Spire in foil. This is perhaps just, you know, exciting enough for a limited to make your kind of multicolored decks tick and stuff like that, but probably not a card you should be playing in most commander decks unless you just don't have access to better lands. I don't know. 5-color decks can play this just fine, but don't play Rupture Spire in your 3-color deck. Golem Artisan. We saw this in Double Masters recently, I think. Just an artifact creature that can pump other artifacts and give them abilities. Nothing we care about. Ooh, foil borderless arcane signet. Now that's something we care about. I kind of hate the card that the fact that this card exists, because it's just like another one of those cards you absolutely have to put in commander decks. Look at the little insignia on that arcane signet. That's really sweet. But it exists, so we're gonna play it because why wouldn't we? Prava of the Steel Legion. I didn't actually realize this card was a partner when I first saw it spoiled. It just read like a normal card you would put in your deck. Foil Prava, if you care about tokens, giving them +1/+4 is kind of sweet, I guess. I'm not sure what you do with this, or if it's even better than some of the token commanders that we already have access to, but someone's going to play it, and I don't know. It's fine, I suppose. We have another Elegith, the Crossroads Augur. This is the Scry Draw Sphinx. We saw this earlier. Again, very powerful partner. Partners with the other flyer that lets you scry equal to the number of attacking flyers, but I don't know. That seems like an ambitious plan to have your 4-mana partner and then your 6-mana partner with no protection both survive. Sakashima's Protege is a really cool card. Again, these Cascade cards, they really kind of took the gloves off with some of the designs. So the main thing here is that it enters the battlefield as a copy of any permanent that entered the battlefield this turn. So it's a stunt double, but it's very specific in that it has to copy something that came down the turn you cast this. But it also has Cascade, which means when you cast this, you get to Cascade into something. And if it's a permanent, that comes in first, and then Sakashima's Protege will resolve, and you can have it become a copy of the thing that you just put in with the Cascade trigger. Or, you know, you could just play it on your opponent's turn, wait for them to put a huge permanent into play, and then copy that. So, really cool design. A Braid with the borderless treatment, nothing super exciting, but a perfectly playable card if you really want to. Another Necrotic Hex, this time not foil, but still a pretty cool card. And Miara, again, with the black etched cards, just look like foil, like silver cards. They're really cool. This is an elf tribal card, again, nothing that we're going to like write home about or anything like that, but somebody out there will be excited about it. And, you know, I'm not going to rain on their parade. Perfectly fine card. And then our last couple cards, we have Karametra, God of the Harvest, in the foil etch version. I didn't realize this was even one of the cards you could open. And our final card is Kamal, Heart of Krosa. Kamal is the kind of overrun in the command zone, which I'm sure there's other versions of that. But very expensive 8-mana commander, but just having an overrun sitting in your command zone for when it's like right to do that, and you just need to kill somebody through combat damage is a lot more powerful than it seems. I have, you know, a couple people say that, hey, Kamal's not really that powerful, it's too expensive, but you know, your main plan is your other partner, and then Kamal's just there to kind of wrap things up when it's time to do so. So there you go. You know, if you were looking to see a Jeweled Lotus or something like that open, we didn't quite get there, but we did open quite a bit of awesome stuff. And that's going to go ahead and do it. I suppose we can wrap this up pretty quickly since it's completely dark. I don't even know if you can see the cards in this video or not. It straight up went from daytime to nighttime in the course of making this video, which is kind of crazy. But yeah, thanks for joining me. If you like this sort of thing, again, let me know in the comments below. I will try to do this earlier in the day, I suppose, so that the light doesn't go away on me. But you know, it is what it is. And yeah, thanks for joining me. Let me know, was the left side of the box better or the right side? I'm having trouble determining exactly. I'll have to go back through. I've got it all sorted by side here, but I don't know. My suspicion is the left side of the box won this time again. So I'll let you guys determine that. But anyway, thanks for joining me. My name's Timothy with Mana Rocks. Thanks for hanging out. If you like this thing, let me know so I can do more of these. If you don't, let me know that as well. And if you want to join a Discord community, Jank Diver Gaming is the place to go. We'll have a link in the description below. So thanks for hanging out. I will see you all next time.